Hello and welcome once again to another edition of Pray on This. I'm your host, John Pray. Before we get going, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. So yes, this is my second video of the day. And before we get going, I want to say it's a continuation of the first video and part 2 of that conversation I had with the associate of mine, because I sure as hell would not call them a friend anymore. During that conversation, we finally got on to the latest BuzzFeed of today, the darling of the left, the transgendered community. And he brought up drag queen story time. He brought up drag shows for children. And he brought up gender affirming care. And he goes, and I bet you don't like any of it. And I looked at him, I said, no, I don't. And then he goes, see, you're transphobic. To which I said, I'm not transphobic. I don't give a damn what any adult does with their life. I don't care what a fully formed adult brain does. If they believe that trying to change their gender and live as the other sex is what is best for their life, their mental well-being, then by all means do so. If you're going to do it, I highly suggest that you give every best effort to try and look as feminine as possible. But the fact of the matter is, do you. It's your life. But when you start talking about children and giving them gender affirming care, what kind of vile wretch of a human being are you? I mean, we all know teenagers don't have fully formed brains, and we all know that a teenager's number one mission in life is to horrify and drive the squares that brought them into this world and have raised them completely and utterly insane with their behavior. It's been the job of every teenager since the beginning of time, and it's going to continue to be so till the end of time. And then to make it even worse, well, he brought up, well, sometimes parents just know when the kid's 3 or 4. I'm like, are you serious? That actually left your mouth? I said, it's very obvious to me that you are not a parent, you've never been a parent, and you never will be a parent. Because I will tell you what, children are not smart. Children can be very intelligent, most of them are, but not a single one of them is smart. They're not smart because they have not been educated. They're not smart because they've not lived long enough to determine what is and is not good for them. If they had, and the decisions you made at 8 determined what you were going to be for the rest of your life, the world would be full of princesses and cowboys. I myself, at one point in time, wanted to be a cop, an astronaut, and finally a pirate. Thank God my parents didn't schedule me for eye removal and a patch fitting and peg leg surgery. But really, honestly, you think that if a little boy wants to play with his sister's or cousin's Barbie doll or dollhouse over top of G.I. Joe or a plastic toy gun, that he would much prefer to have a tea party than play football or catch baseball? That, geez, we better sign him up for puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy, and let's grab the dick saw? What reality are you living in? You are talking about people who still believe that there is a fat, jolly, immortal man with his fat, jolly, immortal wife who live at the North Pole, who have a castle that's filled with other little half-size immortal beings that do nothing but make toys or look after reindeer that can magically fly, and they can pull a sleigh through the air at speeds that are just below that of light speed, and that once a year he flies to every house of every child on the planet and delivers them a present because they're children, and that not one of his break-ins are ever reported, and he's never confronted by a parent who's scared to death that someone's in their house. These people also believe that there's a giant rodent known as a bunny rabbit that does something that no other rabbit has ever done. That's they lay chocolate eggs, who also, once a year, at incredible speed, breaks into their house, lays out a maze of eggs for them to find and a hunt, and then does it at every other child's house. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Hell, you could even tell them that there's such a thing as a little person with wings and a wand that knows when they lose a baby tooth, and that if they put it under their pillow, the tooth fairy will come, take it, and give them money. Their brains will not even accept the concept if you tell them the truth that Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy are actually mom and dad. They will look at you like you have two heads because that doesn't compute in their little brains. But you think that taking them to a show where men dressed as women who dance around, parade around, and do sexually suggestive things like twerk on children is good for them? If I took my 9-year-old grandson to the strip club, which I never go to the strip club, but if I did, I guarantee you that the police would be called and that Child Protective Services, or in this country, the Children's Aid Society, would come and take my grandchild from my care because that's not a proper environment for him. And don't think for one second that I don't think drag is an art form, because I do. I've actually been to half a dozen drag shows. I've enjoyed every one of them immensely. But to say that they are not a sexually suggestive show is just bald-faced naivety to suggest it. I have a serious problem with these very left-wing, very liberal people who are pushing this agenda. And the problem I have with them is this. They are the people who have advocated the destruction of the nuclear family. Whether you want to hear it or not, children raised in a two-parent family have a 75% better chance at a successful adulthood and having successful relationships than children raised by single parents. And that's mothers or fathers. I also find it rather interesting that single mothers have less success than single fathers, but it's nominal. These are the people that want to tell you that it's okay for a woman to be sexually promiscuous, have multiple partners, and that your career should be your biggest thing in life, and that being a mother will bring you down, where all evidence suggests to the contrary. I'm not saying that all women want to be mothers. I'm not saying that all women don't want to have multiple partners. And I'm not saying that it's bad for every single one of them. But I am saying that the data says that for the majority, these particular lifestyles are not good for women. Being sexually promiscuous is not really good for men either. It gives all of us a low opinion of the opposite sex. And it takes away our ability to treat them properly with dignity and respect. These are the same people that will tell you that, oh, the criminal justice system is too harsh and that we shouldn't send people who commit crimes away to prison. Everybody needs to be punished for your bad actions. Do we have to do some as severe as others? Even I will say that there's some sentences that are too harsh. But the fact of the matter is that putting a first-degree murderer in jail for the rest of their natural life, to me, that seems pretty even. And that people who do commit crimes like murder, if you are going to let them out, if they go in at 20 years old, they should be my age or older when they get out. That is protecting society. But these people don't want to protect society. And I just find it amazing what they do to justify their actions. They will tell you, trust the science, like they did with vaccines. But then when it comes to biology, they'll tell you that biology's wrong and that what we've known for hundreds of years needs to stop being taught because our feelings are more important than facts. This is what I call paving the road. It's paving it with good intentions. And we all know where that paved road goes, straight to hell. These are the people that, through their agenda, has seen cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, Chicago, New York, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto become hellholes, some much worse than others. These are the people that tell you that, geez, we can't criminalize drugs, and that the compassionate thing to do is give drug addicts hard drugs and teach them how to inject themselves safely, not get them off of those drugs. One of their greatest champions, Gavin Newsom, has come right out and said publicly that being clean and sober is the biggest lie ever sold to the Western world, and that kicking back and getting drunk and self-medicating is something that we should all do on a regular basis. Are you serious, Gavin? Really? Oh, by the way, this is the same man that says that in his state, that any woman who wants an abortion, even if it's at 39 weeks gestation, that it can be performed in his state. This is the same man that says that if your state says gender affirming care is against the law, come to California, we'll take care of you. But don't expect us to protect you. Don't expect us to protect you from robbery, from rapists, from attempted murder or murder, because in those states, that crime is rampant. And it's being shown with people voting with their feet. The greatest exodus is from the state of California. The greatest population growth are in places like Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. Why is that? I wonder. Low taxes? Yes. Safer cities? Absolutely. Protection of children? Yeah. These are places where you can raise a family, do so safely, and not pay all of your salary to the government to take care of the homeless people, which keep multiplying. I wonder why that is, Gavin. Well, we all know. You just don't want to hear it. The fact of the matter is that I'm not any one of the isms that one of these left-wing insane people want to paint me as. I'm just a man who has common sense. I'm just a man who says, hey, if that 5-year-old thinks that he's a girl trapped in a boy's body, tell him he's a boy, because he will probably grow out of it. If he grows up to be heterosexual, great. If he grows up to be homosexual, great. If he still has gender dysphoria when he's 25 and you want to support him in changing his gender, again, great. You do you. But you don't do that to a 5-year-old, and you don't indoctrinate them with taking them to pride parades, taking them to drag queen story time, and telling them that, oh, Mr. Prey over there, he's just a mean, nasty man because he thinks that because you were born a boy that, you should grow up before you decide whether or not you're going to be a girl, instead of you doing it right now. Because, the best way to put it is this. My grandson, who's 9 years old, 2 days after my wedding, loved the movie Frozen. And his favorite character was Olaf the snowman. And for a while, he kept telling me that he was a snowman. He was a snowman. He was a snowman. I'm not sure that maybe I should have made him stay outside all winter long the year that he decided he was a snowman, because, bringing him inside, he would have melted. Maybe I should have supported him in the childish world of imagination that he was living in at that moment in time. But I didn't. I sat there and said, well, you just think you're a snowman. You're a little boy. I will say this. Anybody, and I mean anybody, who tries to tell my grandsons that they're maybe a little girl trapped in a little boy's body, I don't care how much you convince other people, you will never convince me, and I won't let you get away with it. That's not a threat. That's just how I feel. And I feel that no child should be allowed to undergo puberty blockers, which are not reversible. No child should be given hormone replacement therapy of the other gender, which is non reversible. And nobody under the age of 18 should be having gender reassignment surgery. Grow up. And then, if you want to make that decision, by all means do so. But do it when you're an adult, when you can make a proper decision. Because whatever decision you make is going to affect you for the rest of your life. And I'm terrified 10 to 15 years from now, when I'm in my mid to late 60s, that there's going to be an awful lot of people today who are 8 to 15 years old who made this decision, who are going to find out that they can't go back and that the horrible decision they made is unstoppable. What happens to these people then? I think we know what will happen. We just don't want to talk about it. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and this road to hell will show up in 10 to 15 years. That, as always, is Pray on This.